Howdy, howdy, howdy. Once again, my friends, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, talking to you from the heart of South Texas in San Antonio. And we've got our good friend, Mr. Chris Hajec, who is with the Immigration Reform Law Institute in D.C. And I wanted to reach out to Chris because this Supreme Court ruling regarding the Wait in Mexico program or policy has been upheld, and of course the Democrats and all of the pro-immigration, as they call themselves, pro-open borders, pro-illegal alien folks, are having an absolute meltdown because people that are going to have to wait in Mexico to have their asylums checked are going to be subject to cartels. They're going to be subject to disease, et cetera, and this is not a good policy. It's better that they wait in the United States, where we don't have those things, of course. At any rate, Chris, thank you for taking time to be with us. Talk to us, explain to us what this Supreme Court ruling means, and what ramifications it might have for this insane open borders crisis that we've got.
Well, it's a tremendous victory for the enforcement side. When Trump instituted this policy, it was extremely effective. Before that, if you remember those caravans, people lined up for miles coming in. The vast majority had no meritorious asylum claim. They just wanted to get released into the United States where they'd disappear. And they would never report the hearings. And it was just a big funnel for more illegal immigration. And Trump stopped it by instituting the Wait in Mexico policy, where you get your hearing date, and then they take your information and say, okay, go back to Mexico and wait there, and we'll call you when your hearing comes up, or we'll send you notice, and you can come up and go through a checkpoint and get bused to the hearing, and then if you're successful, you'll get asylum. And they all knew that they weren't going to be successful, well, most of them. And so they usually wouldn't even wait in Mexico. They just forget about it and go home. So, and the few ones who did have a good asylum claim, they would wait in Mexico. They'd be fine with that, and then they'd eventually get asylum. What it did is stop the flow. That they weren't coming up here so they could wait in Mexico. They were coming here so they could be released into the United States. And so what Biden did is just end the program without giving any reason, and that started up the flow again immediately. And so the court enjoined that, finding, and it was inevitable that it would. I've said to you before on this show that when an administration does crazy and irrational things, that's actually a legal problem. It's called arbitrary and capricious. And that's what the court found here. They didn't explain why they did this. So the court enjoined it and said, you have to go back to wait in Mexico. So they appealed that. They are appealing that. And in the meantime, they did an emergency application to the Supreme Court, which my group, the Immigration Reform Law Institute, opposed in the Supreme Court to suspend the injunction during the appeal. So the appeal would take months, and during that time, wait in Mexico would not be in place. The injunction against it would be lifted or suspended. Well, the Supreme Court just made short work of that and said, we don't think you're likely to succeed in this appeal. We don't think it's likely you're going to be able to show it's not arbitrary and capricious. So we're keeping the injunction in place. And so it's a very important ruling, and I can see why the left is up in arms about it.
One of the things that's been very, very interesting about this situation to me is how the Biden administration is going to accept it or work with it, because we have seen how the Democrats will create sanctuary cities to avoid cooperating with laws. So do you think that there will be cooperation or respect for this Supreme Court ruling?
Well, what DHS has said is that they are implementing Wait in Mexico in good faith. But the first thing they're doing to do that is opening talks with Mexico. They claim they need Mexico's cooperation to institute the policy, but Mexico already agreed with the Trump administration to do this, and that hasn't been rescinded or changed or anything. So there's no good reason to talk to Mexico. And also, I think the Trump administration started it before Mexico agreed. You don't really need their agreement. Coming through Mexico's permitting it, and we can just turn them back. We don't have to say, oh, if you don't agree, we have to take them. I mean, that's not actually the case. So they might be trying something there. They might be trying to get Mexico to agree or not to agree to do it, and they can say, oh, our hands are tied. We can't reinstitute the policy. That hasn't happened yet. As far as I know, they are implementing it in good faith, and we'll just have to see. If they don't, I mean, if they give orders to people not to implement that policy, that would be something the court could look into and ask for the names of the officials who are doing that, giving those orders, and then they'd be subject to contempt of court. And that's a pretty strong incentive.
Yeah, that would be contempt of the Supreme Court. Let me also ask you: are there any other victories that have gone under the that have happened that we were not aware of, or do you think that there'll be other victories that are coming down the road?
I think soon a couple other policies will be enjoined. Hopefully the COVID expulsions. Our group is representing Texas in that case, where we're arguing that Trump's complete COVID expulsion policy should be restored, and without all these exceptions that have resulted in lots of COVID positive aliens from around the world just being released into Texas and other states, and ultimately the whole country. And so we're hopeful there. And there's a wider case where we're representing sheriffs and counties in Texas about that's a case about the enforcement priorities, where basically an enforcement stand down. The law says they're supposed to deport a large group of criminal aliens, and instead they're just releasing them. And one Texas court has already enjoined it, and we're asking for that, and also more relief. Other policies they have that are unlawful that we want enjoined, like they're not giving notices to appear to illegal aliens before they release them. They're just giving them notices to report to an ICE office. And, of course, they never do. So they're let go free and clear. They don't have any immigration action pending against them even under this policy. We're trying to get that enjoined. Those decisions should come, especially the second one, should come pretty soon.
That would, we've heard a lot about the issue with the sheriffs being frustrated and the lack of enforcement against criminal illegal aliens that are committing crimes daily. I mean, committing crimes daily. I had a relative about a few weeks ago that was rear-ended right here in San Antonio by an illegal alien that did not have a license, did not have the car registered, did not have insurance, and fled the scene. The only reason that they found out was because they left behind a girlfriend who then told them that the guy was in the U.S. illegally. But heaven knows what will happen to him. And, our insurance goes up.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many cases. I mean, under these enforcement priorities, if an alien is not some kind of really dangerous terrorist or, really bad criminal, the ICE agent has to ask for, or the enforcement agent has to ask for approval by his superiors, by a field officer, to actually deport the person, even though the law says they're supposed to be deported. And they've denied such approval for child molesters, domestic abusers. I mean, this guy is, convicted of molesting a child. Can I deport him? And the answer comes down, no.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's in our lawsuit, and it's just, they not only want a lot of illegal aliens, they want the worst ones. I mean, they want people. I mean, even if you're going to let everybody in, you still have to check.
Screen
you still
them.
have to screen them. Yeah, I mean, back in the 19th century, they screened people.
Yeah.
It was an open immigration system. But if you had a disease or you were likely to be a pauper, a burden on the public, or you were a criminal or something, you were sent back. You weren't allowed in. And when it's illegal immigration, you don't get
that's a
that.
no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
No one's checking. And then of course, but even when they do check, even when there's this person who's been here and he's committed a terrible crime and he's a danger to the public, and they say, "Can I deport him?" They say no. So it's like they seem to want the criminals in particular, and it's it's the same with sanctuary cities. Those are policies that they have to protect criminals. It only protects criminals. It doesn't protect anybody else from deportation.
Incredible. Buddy, thank you very much for taking time to be with us. Tell the folks where they can follow IRLI and how they can support it if possible.
Right, that's IRLI. That's Immigration Reform Law Institute, IRLI.org.
Fantastic. We've been talking with my friend Chris Hajec from IRLI, from the Immigration Reform Law Institute.